Hello, my friends. Hello, hello. How are you? Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for hanging out. My name is Jason, and this is the Outstanding Life Show. If you're new here we talk about recovery, we talk about mindfulness, we talk about addiction, we talk about removing some of the stigma that can come from I want to say help remove some of that adversity. I want to say help add to the conversation. And a lot of these topics that we talk about, that we bring up, have been brought forward by you, the community. And I want to take a minute and celebrate each of you who have taken the time to send me a message, to say hello, to do a thermostat check and ask me how I'm going, how I'm doing. And so, my community, I want to appreciate you for taking that time. There's been some real heartfelt, genuine conversations I've had, and I'm blessed that you've taken the time to share that with me. If you're new here, we talk about everything from relapse prevention. We have deep conversations about recovery strategies, and we also talk about some of the key indicators of what the sensitive topics can be around addiction. And there's no two solutions the same. The same answer for you may not be the same answer for me. The same challenges for you may not be the same challenges for me. So when we work through these topics, when we have these conversations, they're meant to be a conversation. They're meant to be a back and forth. And it's meant to be a way to help add to that conversation. By no means is this an indicator of telling you that you should do something or that you should stop doing something. This show is mainly meant, this podcast is mainly meant, the video version of this is mainly meant for those who have made the decision that they want to live an outstanding life. And this is here to help complement that. It's there to help add to that. So, my friends, today we're digging deep. We've talked before about the key indicators about stressors. We've talked about that can manifest into bad habits. And when we talk about today's topic, when we talk deeper into, I don't want to get into too deep about resentments, but what I want to save that for is for a bigger topic. Today, I want to jump into comfort zones. Today, I want to chat a little bit about what comfort zones mean and what the side effects can be from them. When I mean comfort zones, what is a comfort zone? If you're new here, a comfort zone can be something that is, I want to give a reference as a warm blanket. I want to say it's something that's going to soothe me. I want to say it's something that's reassuring. These are soft, warm words that comfort zones, comfort food. When I think of comfort food, I think of lavish. I think of juicy. I think of crunchy. I don't know. I'm making it up. The same comfort food for you might be different than the comfort food for me. It doesn't take away that it's a comfort food. Your comfort food might be pizza, but my comfort food might be lasagna or Chinese food. I don't know. But when it comes to comfort zones, what helps make you feel comfortable might be different than me. And what I mean by that is a comfort zone can be something that is reassuring to a point, but there's also a negative impact that can come from comfort zones. If I look at comfort zones from a recovery standpoint, if I look at comfort zones from an addiction perspective, if I bottle my view of life and I restrict my perception to only being something that I want to see, and if I'm only having conversations that I want to have, if I'm artificially creating certain outcomes to establish a comfort zone, this has now become meticulous. This has now evolved into culpable. This has now evolved into, I don't want to say it's a manifestation, but it's an artificial comfort zone. I could feel, I could, here's an example where if I were to persuade somebody to take interest in me, if I were to, I saw the Star Trek episode where Commander Riker, number one, in the television show, The Next Generation, there was an alien species that made Captain Riker fall in love with the alien. And then Captain Riker, even though he was under the spell of the alien, number one, Commander Riker was like, even if I'm being forced to love you, that's not genuine love. That's not true love. This is something that you as a species have convinced me that this is love. And while I'm showing you love, that's not really love. And the moral of the episode was just because you can have something doesn't mean that it's true or that it's real. We don't just want to live a life. We want to live a real life. We just don't want to feel a comfort zone. We actually want to feel comfortable. And that's where the passing of time comes from. Like if I'm eating comfort food, that's only comfort while I'm eating it. 3 hours later, it may not be so comfortable anymore, especially if it's like tacos or something. You know what I mean? So when it comes to comfort zones, while from an addiction standpoint, they might be something that's supportive and that might be something that's ideal and that might be something that's sought after. But for me personally, I used comfort zones as a place to hide. I used comfort zones to ensure I was in a positive light, but I did go into those darker areas and I kept shining the light only in areas where I wanted the light to shine. And that to me was comforting, but that wasn't comfortable. And it became uncomfortable the more I shined the light in the positive area because I knew deep down there was a darker area and I knew there was uncomfortable zones and I knew there was conversations I was avoiding. And I started to build this construct, and I don't know if you can relate to this, where I've built it up so much to the point that it became anxious. I built it up so much that it started making decisions for me. I built up this comfort zone where it was no longer comfortable, and I started to really weighing down on my moral compass and weighing down on my anxiety and weighing down on my stressors in life, and to the point that it's twisted its comfortable zoneness, if that's a word, and it translated itself into a limiting belief where what I was after was going for a comfort zone and what I was after was trying to obtain a positive balance in life, in environment with your chi or what have you. And it caused the opposite. And how I was dealing with that and how I was rationalizing it and self-medicating was through destructive means, through destructive people, through destructive relationships. I have no one else to blame but me. I have no one else to take accountability for my decisions or my past, except myself. But what I recognize now is the idea that I was after, the carrot at the end of the stick, for me was a comfort zone. But what manifested and what lashed out was these limiting beliefs. What created the circumstances around me artificially, and what I happened to find myself into these precarious situations was no fault of my own. And despite the idea and the label of having it be a comfort zone, it was nothing of the sort. So when I look at comfort zones, when I look at the limiting belief aspect of it, identifying a habit has become a problem is the first step. We've talked before about the 12-step program, and identifying that there's an issue is the first milestone, if you will. And as we move forward, the next one I wanted to chat about was if something doesn't challenge us, there's no way that something can then change us. So if it doesn't challenge you, it's never going to change you. So when I look back at some of the most difficult moments in my life, they were difficult, but I've been able to identify them as difficult rubs. But I'm able to then develop a strategy and move through it. I'm able to reach out for help and get the support I need. So when I look at my limiting beliefs, just constructing it as a limiting belief gives me the reassurance and the foundation of knowing that as soon as it's a limiting belief and I've labeled it as such, that gives me the power now to move from a place of a victim, where I'm a victim of my circumstances, into a place of power where I can now choose a new outcome. I can choose a new fate. I can carve a new destiny. And it doesn't have to include a limiting belief. It doesn't have to include my coping mechanism. It doesn't have to include anxiety or frustration or resentment. Just because that's the way I've done things for so long doesn't mean that's the way things are always going to be. I'm a new person today compared to who I was yesterday. And in recovery, we talk about every day is a win. We talk about not living in the future. Don't fill yourself with anxiety, counting down to the seventh day if you're on day one. Celebrate the moment right now where we are, but recognize that if we don't take the minute to appreciate where we are, we're never going to be able to move past it. If I'm not willing to be challenged, how am I expected to change? And identifying a habit has become a problem is a huge step in that. When I look at the next point, I heard this Tony Robbins quote, and it's really stuck with me over the years. I went to a Tony Robbins event in New York with my best friend, and we got to go to this event called Unleash the Power Within. Now in 2020, it's all online, it's all virtual. But Tony Robbins has this quote, and he says, if you're willing to take the beach, if you're storming the beach, if you're trying to take the beach in a game of war, or you're in a battle of sorts, and your mission is to take the beach, you're not able to do that if you don't have the right motivation. You're not able to do that completely unless, and then his example was burn your boats. Burn the boats so that you have no other choice but to move forward. You can't take the beach if you're stuck on the boat. And when I look back at my life, my comfort zones became my limiting beliefs, and they were making decisions for me, and they were holding me back. And it wasn't until I got to the place in my life where I started to live a life of gratitude, and I started to live a life where I was no longer looking for minute to minute anxiety. I was no longer looking for a way to be frustrated or resentful. I no longer had time in my life budgeted for like the fear of losing a comfort zone. I became comfortable in my own skin. I became comfortable with who I am, with where I am in life, and with what I had accomplished. And despite knowing that I need progress, I don't have to search for perfection. What I can look forward to is the comfort zone I'm in right now. And I can appreciate where I am and look forward to my future accomplishments without feeling that anxiety, without feeling that sense of frustration, or letting it build up or erupt into affecting the other parts of my life. I'm not sure if any of you can relate to this, but if you do, let me know. I really appreciate chatting with you, my community, about being open and honest about some of these conversations. Today's talk was about comfort zones and the limiting beliefs, some of the challenges we can face if we're not willing to let go, and if we're not open to the idea of change. We need to let go in order for us to move forward. If you enjoyed this conversation, if you like watching these videos, I really like showing up and being consistent. I've started taking the audio and I started sharing this in a podcast form. I've taken the video version of this and I've shared this over on Facebook and on YouTube. And I started getting the transcription of this and I started moving them over into a blog. If you're interested in checking out where they are, hold on, let me show you here. I'm going to show you on my screen. And here we have on the link on the screen, it's sobriety.live/now. If you go to that link, it'll bring you to this page here, and we're both looking at it, where it's just a series of links. If you ever want to reach out and say hello, I've got the links to YouTube and Facebook. Or if you're interested in the podcast, I've got the link to the Outstanding Life podcast. Or if you're a blogger or you enjoy reading, check out this one here. This brings you to where the blog posts are, and I've got everything transcribed, and this is where it all lives. If you're interested in more courses or something that's super fun, Coursera is offering free courses on their website, and I think it's free till the end of the year. They even have a whole mental health category. It's really awesome. Or calm.com. It's 30 days of free calm.com. And I've even got right over here, these are my top blog posts and my top videos that people enjoy watching. So if you're interested in checking out a video or you want to go and watch or check out a blog post, definitely go visit the link down below. It's sobriety.live/now, and this brings you over to here. In the meantime, friends, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. I really appreciate you, my community. If you have ideas and you want to chat about something, or if you have a suggestion for future episodes, let me know what your thoughts are. Leave them in the comments, send me a message, send smoke signal, whatever your preferred method of communication is. I look forward to seeing you in another video or another podcast. But you take care, you have fun, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.